Thank you for watching Meatsauce and Monty. I'm Matt Montgomery. He's Paul Meatsauce Lambert. So we're coming off a good week. A win in Chicago, which you did not foresee.
No. I'm very negative on the Vikings, and now they've quarantined me to this small shape. I can't move my feet. I feel like a snowman.
It's because the same thing happened when we used to be in the CW basement. You would slope, you'd drift. To keep you in shot here, we've got to keep you, you're contained.
I can't stand still.
Trying to keep you contained is very difficult.
Can I like shift like this?
I don't know if you can shimmy a little. Just don't move.
Okay.
All right?
I'm going to stand like Woody or Andy walked into the room in Toy Story, and I just have to stay still.
Toy Story reference.
Yeah, great. So
nice.
far, so good, yeah.
Good stuff.
What were we talking about?
Football.
Oh, yeah,
We might as well get right to it
Sure.
because this week we got the Packers. Biggest rivalry. We're coming off a win against Chicago.
Barely.
But it happened nonetheless. Let's start with, I think, the biggest issue that's facing the Vikings this week, probably this season, quarterback situation. Might as well start. Sam Bradford, his knee. Let's look back at Chicago. Your thoughts. Was he in too long? Should he have played at all? Should they have pulled him? His performance?
I don't know. I don't think he should have played. I think a lot of it was, and this is my opinion, I don't have any inside information, you kind of get the sense with Bradford that he was almost guilted into it. Like, it's just pain. You almost like, you get to the point that like you think Zimmer basically goaded him into it. Zimmer was like, we have to.
Had to give him a go.
It's just pain.
Yeah.
So then you see him out there, and he looks like Mrs. Doubtfire. Like he can't move. He looks like
Mrs. Doubtfire was very nimble on her feet, if I remember.
Yeah, when they were playing soccer,
with the broom,
but that's a whole different issue.
Yeah,
sure, but
wonderful.
He looked old. He looked like an old man.
Well, he had that body language too in that one sack.
Right.
He was just trying to go to the ground very
he got
slowly.
butt sacked.
He's like, I'm just going to fall down here.
I don't know if you kept him in too long, and we talked with people all week on the power trip. Mark Parrish, Ben Lieber. They don't put him in unless he's the captain of the team.
Yeah.
If he says, well, I'm not going to go in like what they did when they went up to him right before halftime, and he's like, I'm out.
You want to go? Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. Sitting back on the bench.
So I don't know. Did they keep him in too long? Maybe, but I think a lot of it's his own doing. And you saw him every time they brought Keenum in, and they flashed over to the sideline. Sam has his helmet on.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's sitting there moping. You could tell it hurt him that he couldn't play, but they got the win. So it's a good win, but I think they kept him in too long. I don't think they should have played him. I think if he was coming in this week, you obviously could have beat the Bears with Case Keenum.
Right.
The Bears are a 2 or 3 win team. They're awful. Mitch Trubisky,
you picked them to win.
Well, yeah, but
good for you.
But the Vikings haven't won this is their third win in 16 games?
Yeah, something like that.
And if Mitch doesn't throw that awful interception, they might have won.
Well,
it's a whole different issue. But
the bigger issue,
I would have taken him out. I wouldn't have played it.
Bigger issue looking forward. So Bradford's got the bum knee.
Which is now CBS has said that it may be arthritic.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, because they're saying it's not structural. It's not muscle. It's not the tendon. It's not the ligament.
It's sad because he was so good in that first game.
So obviously his knee. Teddy Bridgewater on Monday is going to undergo the evaluation. Might not be on the physically unable to play list. He could be coming back.
Or not.
Slaughter.
Yeah.
I think Case Keenum, out of what we've got right here, the cards in front of us, Case Keenum is the safest bet, and it should be his job probably for the rest of the season, unless Teddy comes back and is so amazing that he's ready to go. It could become his team again. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I think right now it's Case Keenum.
Well, Brian Billick was on with Justin Gard on Thursday, and he basically said that it's been 400 days since Teddy started. You're going to get him ready in 3 weeks? So unless there's the only way you would maybe see Teddy. So let's say,
yeah, but I'm saying in the future. I'm saying it's Case's team right now.
But
maybe Teddy by the end of the season.
Yeah,
maybe,
would you put Teddy in that situation if they're 4-8?
No, probably not.
Would you put Teddy in that situation if they're 8-4 and Case got you to 8-4?
Well, if we're in playoff possibilities, then just stay with Case.
If Case
maybe
gets him to 8-4, then you play what you play. As of right now, Case is the best quarterback they have on roster. But you don't know. And if we hear on Monday, no, it's not ready. He can't play. I mean, he looks good in practice, but you could go down the list of people that look. Tavares Jackson looked great in practice. He sucked once he got out on the field.
You could look great in practice.
Sure, I don't practice. This is the most physical activity I've had all week.
Bradford's mobility, I think you could put your 43 pounds back on and you still would have been more mobile.
I may have been.
He was bad.
He looked like an old man.
Yeah, absolutely.
He looked like the Tin Man when he first comes out. Like he didn't have any oil. He's just, right. It was not a good sign.
Let's get to it. So we're taking on the Packers today.
Sure.
When all the stuff that I tried to read, it's like you sum it up. It's Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Rodgers' team. He's the leader. He's the best player on the team. Do you think he's the best quarterback in the league right now?
With Tom, I don't
You
know
don't have to be careful how you answer this.
I don't know how you can say that with Tom Brady in the league. As good
Well,
as
I'm not saying all time. I'm saying right now.
But yeah, I think I'd take Tom Brady over Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
And the other thing about Aaron Rodgers is he's great. And the comeback, of course, what every Packer fan would be, well, how many Super Bowls do you have? Well, how many does Aaron Rodgers have? One.
Yeah.
All-time great quarterbacks have 4, 5, or 6. Terry Bradshaw's a terrible quarterback, played on a great team. He's got, what, 3 or 4?
Defense, yeah.
Brady's got 4 or 5.
5.
Montana.
3, 4?
3 or 4. Troy Aikman. 3 or 4.
Yeah. 3.
Aaron Rodgers Aaron Rodgers has 1. So he's a great quarterback, but if Dallas screwed that whole thing up by you scored too early. You know that. It's 6 months before it happened. You get smoked by him in that playoff game. It's just
that's why I would say he's the best quarterback in the league because of what he did to Dallas.
I'd take Tom Brady. If you're doing one game, I'd take Tom Brady.
One game,
and it'd be Tom Brady. I just can't. Aaron Rodgers. I hate everything about the Packers.
Well, you can hate the Packers, but you don't have to hate Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I hated the Packers, but I love Brett Favre, even when he played for them.
Sure.
Aaron Rodgers is just a smug Todd. He's just that stupid.
He
look
had
on
Olivia.
His face.
I mean,
who cares?
You really?
I had a hot chick
hold
at
that
one
against
point.
him?
That doesn't make you a good dude. Who cares?
Good
doesn't
for
make
you.
A good guy. Doesn't make you cool.
So,
he's a Todd. He sucks.
So let's look
as a person. He's a great quarterback.
I'm sure. So let's look at the matchup. Other than Rodgers, is there anybody to be worried about? Because honestly, I look the running game. You know, Aaron Jones just comes in. Ty Montgomery, no relation to me. I don't think they have much of a run threat. And I think our defense is set up to stop that no matter what.
Line,
it all comes down to Rodgers.
Is Bakhtiari going to play?
Unknown.
Right, so you don't know about their offensive line. The defense, I mean, if you have to rely on a Trey Waynes interception, we played that card last year. I don't know. But the other thing that we saw on Monday that we didn't see on Monday that we will definitely see today is Rhodes had 0 passes thrown on the guy.
Never even went his way.
Never. Aaron Rodgers will
go that way.
Just because
Absolutely.
it's really? You think you can, But
well, are they going to match up Xavier with Devontae Adams, or are they going to
Jordy?
Yeah,
Jordy's probably, but Jordy didn't play in that final drive on Sunday.
I don't believe
against
so. Yeah, he was sidelined.
The Cowboys.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, their offense is bad. Their defense, that's the other thing. Last week, you get Ezekiel Elliott going. He finally could chunk some yards off, and then they kind of run these weird plays in Dallas. Their defense is not good, and they're decimated by injury on both sides of the ball, offensive line and defensive line. They got a 5th-round rookie starting at running back who looked great.
Yeah.
But it's easy to look good
it's
easy to look good when you have that passing game. Nobody cares about the running game because they're so concerned with Aaron Rodgers beating us. Mike Zimmer will have this team up and ready to go. It'll be a good game. But
we will do our picks at the end of the show, so you want to stick around for that.
See, I teased it instead of just doing it like I normally
like you sometimes do. Let's go back then. So you talk about, you think their defense, we're talking Packers. Their defense is terrible.
Terrible.
Jerick McKinnon, his performance last week. Are you optimistic that he might be okay, and with the loss of Dalvin Cook, that he might be the one to plug in? Latavius Murray, very boring. Did not do well. 69 yards so far in the season. Jerick McKinnon, 121. But you take away that 58-yard touchdown run, they're pretty similar. But he had that one big play. So does that make it you're optimistic that he has that big play potential?
I like Jerick. I think Jerick's they're basically with Jerick they can do what they were doing with Dalvin Cook. And I think they noticed that about 15 plays into the game with Latavius. It's like we got to go back to that feeding him style running back they had with Adrian Peterson, but I like Jerick. I think he can. I mean, if he keeps taking hits like he did in that Chicago game, I don't know. I mean, he got whacked a couple times. So, I think he can do it.
Latavius looked exactly like Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
He ran fast into the back of the line.
Right. And
he didn't wait for a hole to develop.
Yeah, it was not good.
So if the line didn't create a hole, there was not much action happening there.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Jerick McKinnon, the Jet, maybe he's Dalvin Cook light.
Yeah.
I don't think he had, the breakaway, 58 yards, that was exciting, but I think that was more the tempo. That wasn't the play itself.
The Bears' defense is terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they're on like their 5th-string linebacker at that point. They weren't good. I mean, but they won. They won in Chicago, and they'll take it. And it's if we were standing here at a 2-3 club going in to Green Bay with the injuries they have, it'd be a whole different story. But they won, so you got to give them credit.
So again, we're going to make our picks here before the end of the show. Real quick though, Zimmer, the way he's been treating the press lately is something. He just seems so grumpy. And he used to be more dry and just factual, but now it seems like he's almost
mean.
Yeah, he's standoffish.
Yeah,
And I know he tried to do a little joke about Aaron Rodgers, trade him and all that.
Yeah,
but earlier in the week, I'm not going to evaluate players with you guys. It was just, I don't know.
It's the same thing with what was I going to say? It's the same thing kind of with Belichick. If you have that attitude that Belichick has, but you win, you're a barely above 500 football coach. So
you have to understand.
I don't know. Don't be mean to the press.
No,
the press is people pay attention to you. I get you got the best product in town, but if you alienate the press. I noticed that on the press conference. He's just mean.
And you know that
don't
the press,
be mean.
they're just doing their job.
Right.
They have to ask the question
Right.
about injuries.
Yeah.
And you give them the boring day to day. We don't know what day to day need.
They don't
whatever.
know.
He just so grouchy.
Don't be mean.
All right, so we'll make our picks here at the end.
Right.
But if you come to Mystic Lake, where we are, Thursday Night Lights, if you come here Sunday morning and you make your picks, you could win $1,000 of free slot play every
Are
week
you
just for
serious?
entering. If you come here every week and you get the most picks right through the end of the season, you could win $5,000.
$5,000.
What would you do with $5,000?
Buy more Hammer-made shirts.
You would. They look great on you.
Yeah,
very
thank
slim
you.
fitting.
Thank
If you come here on Sunday mornings, you also get that complimentary bus ride to the bank. Right here, you come in, grab some grub, play some games, do your picks, get a free ride to downtown Minneapolis. Doesn't get a whole lot better than that.
No, that's perfect. That's a perfect Sunday.
Thank you to the people here at Mystic Lake for a sweet Sunday morning. All right, now time for us to move on to phase 2 of our show. This week we've got a special guest, former Minnesota Viking. You know who he is? Wide receiver, special teams specialist, flying around the field. Chris Walsh, welcome him to the stage. I want to say thank you to Mystic Lake for bringing Chris Walsh here this week. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you being here. So you were with the Vikings from 94 to 02. You were with the Buffalo Bills before them. I think a lot of Vikings fans would not have known that.
That's because I didn't play too much in
But
Buffalo.
but you were there at the end of an era
Yeah.
that I think a lot of people growing up, Meatsauce and the Bills were fantastic back then, and you played for Marv Levy.
I did, yeah.
What was that like?
It was great. Marv was one of those coaches that he didn't holler and yell, he didn't scream. He was a cerebral guy. They went to 4 straight Super Bowls.
You were with for the last 2.
I was there against Dallas, the last 2 against Dallas. And that was a really star-studded, talented team.
Absolutely.
Reminded me a lot of the 98 Vikings.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look up and down that roster, that's Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas in the backfield. Anybody who played Tecmo Super Bowl, you'd always pick the Bills, even though they were there 4 straight years and they lost. And I just wanted to ask you, what was it like being there before you came to the Vikings?
It was well, you go into it, you're the big fish there, and they 4 straight years, and it was kind of amazing. The whole city rallied around them, and they were so disappointed when they kept losing the Super Bowls, but they were so good, and they're such a great, talented roster, and so you learned how to really see what really great teams look like before getting to Minnesota. So it was pretty neat, and they just did it the right way. And they had a great run, and I should have won at least one of them.
Absolutely.
Wide right or wide left. Laces out, I don't know.
Whatever it was.
You go from Buffalo with Jim Kelly to then the carousel of quarterbacks here in Minnesota. I mean, how was that as a wide receiver and a special teams guy, just constantly not really knowing who the quarterback was going to be year to year?
Yeah, it was interesting because the system stayed intact. So we had Warren Moon, and then Brad Johnson came in. Then Randall Cunningham, to Jeff George, to Dante, and everybody did really well. And the system was really quarterback friendly. We had great receiving core, great running back, really good offensive line, and so you kind of plugged in a quarterback, and they did well. Where Jim was, there all that whole time, outside of Frank Wright coming in a little bit, to relieve him. We just found a way to do it, and it was. It was a quarterback kind of carousel a little bit, but they all did really well.
Right. Now, because as Matt said, not a lot of people knew you played for the Bills, and I had no clue. Were you on the team that made that massive comeback?
The comeback he just mentioned, Frank Reich. There you go.
Yeah, it was.
That was unbelievable.
It really was.
That's like the greatest comeback in sports history.
Yeah, it was.
I remember watching it as a kid, going, "Well, let's go outside. We'll go sledding." And all of a sudden, we come back and we're like, "Wait, what's going on?"
What
here?
happened?
They came back.
Yeah.
What an unbelievable story and memory to have.
It really was, and that come back and then taking them to the Super Bowl. Was just unreal. I mean, it's 38-3 or 35-3 at halftime. You're like, oh, this is over.
Warren Moon, right? He was the quarterback on the other side.
Houston was really good.
They were great.
They were really good.
Yeah.
And that was probably Houston's best chance of getting to the Super Bowl.
And what a game.
Yeah, it really was.
So then you come to Minnesota.
Yep.
The Denny Green era.
Yep.
What was it like shifting from Buffalo and Marv Levy to the Dome and Denny?
Well, see, Denny was my coach in college at Stanford.
Okay.
So I had
Oh,
Jack
yeah. So
Elway,
you-
John's dad,
There you go.
initially for 2 years, and then Denny came in. So I knew Denny, for a long time. And then I had 2 years in Buffalo, and then I was a free agent, and I came to Minnesota. So the dome was different. Outside in Buffalo, it's cold and windy. Then you come to the dome, it's
72 and
yeah,
rug
yeah,
burn.
exactly, rug burns. Yeah. So that was great. But I knew his program, I knew his system, I knew what to expect, which was nice. Because Denny was tough, but he was fair. He treated guys with respect, but you didn't mess with him. And Marv did it differently. Marv was real kind of subtle, and if he raised his voice at all, he got your attention, kind of like a Tony Dungy. Never raise your voice, never yell and scream, but when he did raise it a little bit, you're like, whoa, kind of deal.
When you look at a guy like Denny and everybody, I mean, he's probably the definition of a player's coach, right? Everybody loved playing for him, and even in the media now, we still talk about him. And I remember, I grew up watching the Vikings, and from afar, you'd see him and you'd think he's a little rough to the media, but the players loved him. He always stood up for you guys at every chance he had.
He did. He really did. And he worked us hard, but he didn't overwork us. We were on the field for 4 hours. Our practice were timed, and the coaches had to get the plays in. That's what they had to get it. And he didn't want the players to have tired legs. You'd be fresh on the field, going, having fun, tough but fair, and treated you with respect. He didn't call you out in the media like a lot of guys do. Which guys don't. Coaches do it, but guys really don't like that. Being called out. Keep it in house, and he always did that.
Yeah.
And I think guys really appreciated that.
I mean, when you were on that '98 team and you had your first, whatever they were, practices, whatever they were back then, because they've changed now.
Yeah.
Now it can't be more than an hour, and they can't wear pads. They have to wear shorts and all that. When you remember your first practice in '98, what was your first impression of Randy Moss when you saw him for the first time?
It's funny. So I'm the third receiver in '97, and it's Chris and Jake and Matthew Hatchett and I kind of share the third spot. And then they draft Randy Moss, and I had basically an anxiety attack. And I was like, all right, I'm going to sell women's shoes now.
Yeah.
So he came into minicamp, and he had an ankle sprain. He was limping around. I'm like, this guy's not that good. He's running on one ankle. So then we get into practice, and he starts doing these one-handed catches and his body control, and just makes everything look so easy, like a gazelle. And you're like, wow, this guy is special. And I trained, 2 off seasons with Jerry Rice, and Jerry's, hard to argue Jerry not being the greatest for his numbers and the longevity he put in. But Jerry couldn't do stuff that Randy could do. I mean, Randy is the most talented receiver I've ever been around.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. Yeah. Everybody that played with him. I mean, there are a lot of guys you play with, John Randall, Mike Morris, they say the exact same thing.
It's
He's the most athletic guy they'd ever seen.
Yeah, and his body control and the catches he could make, and really was a really, really smart football player. He doesn't get the credit for being a smart football player as much as he probably deserves. A very, very smart football player.
Did Denny or Brian Billick have to have a conversation with you then after Randy was brought in, or did you see the writing on the wall and you said, I got to figure something else out, maybe special teams, or maybe your spot was just gonna?
Well, it's funny. So I'm in Buffalo, and I'm playing behind Andre Reed. I'm kind of a slot receiver, and Andre Reed, is a Hall of Famer. And I'm like, okay, Andre's pretty good. I'm not sure I'm going to beat him out. Then I come into Minnesota behind Chris Carter. And I'm
Jake
like,
Reed.
okay, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to beat out Chris Carter either. And Buffalo had this guy, Steve Tasker. There was a wide receiver that played special teams.
Right.
And I was like, you know what, this could be a role that I could embrace. And back then, a lot of receivers didn't play special teams. Either you're a kick return or a punt return kind of guy, but you didn't cover kicks really. You didn't bust up wedges and stuff like that. And so I went the first day I got to Minnesota. I went to Gary Zahner and I said, I want to play special teams. And he's like, because no one volunteers. It's one of those things. It's like, hey, you're not starting. Hey, you get to play special teams. So I went there and talked to him and immediately embraced it. And I was our special teams captain, and that was kind of my niche. I knew all the positions, and I was durable and versatile, and then was a leader on special teams. And I just kind of found a niche and ran with it. Found a role.
So being on special teams, you know Mike Morris really well.
Oh, very well.
What's your best Mike Morris story?
Oh my goodness,
that's clean for TV.
Yeah, that's clean for TV.
Oh gosh, we better get on radio.
I mean, he told me a story once about you broke your jaw and then played in the next game.
I was wondering if that was
true.
Did that happen?
Yeah, kind of.
Are you insane?
Maybe. Yeah, I think we all are. Play this stupid game. But,
so what's the full story behind that? Broken jaw.
I got hit on both sides of the helmet at the same time, busted up this left side of my cheekbone and
was
jaw.
it on a special teams play?
It was a catch. It was a wide receiver play. And then I go to the sideline. There was like a dent in my face, and I was like,
"Oh my!
Is this normal?" And they're like, "No, that's not normal." And so it took me out or whatever. And then I had surgery on my birthday, December 12th, and then practiced on Wednesday, the next day. So surgery on Tuesday, practiced on Wednesday, didn't miss a practice and played. You just put like a kind of a donut inside the helmet to. I know.
Paul's like, how do you do this?
I quit. I was worried. My hangnail hurts. I'm gonna put it back in my pocket so nobody sees it.
So with that, not to say that you'd call out Sam Bradford, but like they're saying no structural, it's just a little pain, but his knee, and you're like, I had a broken jaw. I didn't even miss a day. Wow.
You know, injuries are tough. You know, you don't know what somebody's going through. You don't know how much pain's going on, and you don't know, like, you know, if it's really injured or hurt or what.
Yeah.
And you know, I feel for him. He's had some tough stuff going, and it seems like he gets healthy and he plays really well,
and then he
gets hurt again. You know, and then he gets healthy and plays really well, and you just love to see him stay healthy because he's so talented.
Yeah.
From a special teams perspective, how good is Marcus Sherrills at what he does?
He's very good. I think you know. You look at what happened with the Bears last week in special teams. You know, like that's an important part of the game, and that's, you know, something, you know, as you lead towards like the Packers, you're like, that'd be a way to really have a chance of getting the Packers because you know, the defense is strong. If you can win the special team battle, you know, it's going to be tough to win the offensive battle. But if you can win the turnover battle and you can force it into a kind of a tight game where you know, and it's close and you kind of beat them up a little bit, you got a chance. And so that special teams has become a big factor, especially when you do stuff wrong. You know, you see that the muffed punch or the missed field goal. Another, you know, every game is so close that you get a missed extra point or a missed field goal can be the determining factor.
Have you stayed close to the game? Do you sit and watch on Sunday mornings, or do you say football was a different chapter of life? I golf, I travel, or, you know, how do you look at football now?
I golf and I travel and I watch football. No, I like it all. But, I enjoy it. I really do. And you know, I'm still a fan. I love the game, you know, and I always will.
Best golf course you've played at?
Best golf course.
Well, let it be known you're down in Arizona now, so you can golf whenever you want.
Yeah, it's 94 degrees today, so hence my shorts. I played all through the Pebble and all those courses up in Bandon Dunes. I played in Ireland and Scotland, so I've played all over. My favorite's probably Old Head Golf Course in Ireland.
So, true story, I was there a year and a half ago, and we were in this gift shop, and I saw a picture. We were in Galway, and I'm like, what is that? And this lady's like, that's real. I'm like, that's real? It was a painting? We drove up there. It was closed. It's the most unbelievable. It's the background of my phone. It's the most unbelievable spot in the entire world.
It is.
The ocean around you. It's just like
that jut of land. It's just all golf course. Yeah, it's unreal.
That big castle, right? Yep. It's the coolest spot in the
world.
Really cool. And a friend of mine played there. I didn't even realize that until I got there. I'm like, wait, this is a golf course. There was nobody there because it was off season, but what a cool area.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Any other Vikings alums from your era that you stay in touch with?
You know, Brad Johnson and I were roommates for 4 or 5 years, and we stay in contact. And Pete Bursich, he's a good buddy. And,
he's the best.
Yeah, he really is.
Pete's the best. I see him every Sunday for the games.
Yeah. And then, you know, Robert Griffith and, you know, Mitch Berger I played golf with yesterday.
Sure.
Cool. He down in Arizona?
He's in Arizona now,
Yeah. What's your handicap?
I'm a 7. I'm a little high right now.
High.
Yeah. I got a week back.
Yeah, it's all right.
But I heard it about a week back.
I got a bad golf game.
Yeah. Chris Walsh, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. I'm not going to put you on the spot here, but are you a big fan of Thunder from Down Under? Do you even know what it is?
I think I heard of it, but I'm not a fan.
I know that
Matt's got front row tickets in the splash zone.
He's got posters in his room. We just have to make this announcement for Mystic. Thunder from Down Under, November 4th, 7:30 and 10:30. I know Paul will be here. You'll probably be back in Arizona golfing.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. It's time for one of my favorite segments, Honest Opinion. I'm going to ask you a question or basically set up a topic. Hit it hard, hit it fast. Don't be pervy.
It's always what I do.
All right, Honest Opinion. Adrian Peterson is signed with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
Will this be the second coming of Adrian Peterson?
No, he'll be out of the league by week 8 or 9.
He said he'd want to play another 4 or 5 years.
They're bad. They're
you think
worse
he's done?
Well, they're worse than New Orleans. Their offensive line is one of the worst in the NFL. Yeah, I mean, he'll be out of the league by week 8. They'll cut him.
He's going to handicap their offense because it's going to be just like what it was here.
Correct.
First and second down.
Right.
We'll just put 8 men in the box, pressure on him, third down passing.
And he got what he wanted. He got to play with Larry Fitzgerald. So, I mean, it'll be a disaster. They're a bad football team.
All right, Kyle Rudolph. This is the big question everybody wants to know about. Touchdown celebration. Duck, duck, He said goose.
It's gray duck.
Yes. Okay.
It's gray duck.
When you were raised in the West Metro.
Yeah, it's gray duck.
I can imagine you running around in a circle.
I mean, I don't know where this goose garbage came from.
The rest of the country says
it's
goose.
It's stupid. Then they're playing the wrong game.
It's gray duck.
Yeah, I mean, what do you call freeze tag? They probably call it something else.
Do you think the fact that it was honestly a Twitter storm that night?
Yeah, that was like
everywhere, and it lasted for an entire day.
Yeah, and they asked everybody about it.
Minnesotans were very upset.
Everybody. They asked Paul Molitor about it. They asked PJ Fleck about it. He's too serious.
Yeah. Timberwolves signed Andrew Wiggins, 5-year, $148 million. It's the salary max deal that they could give him. Good move for the Wolves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Had to do it.
You got a core now here with if you get Carl signed next offseason,
which they likely will. Another max deal. Yeah.
And you get Jimmy to sign a big deal. You got a good core if you can keep it together.
Do you think
offensively, he's a stud.
I'm not the numbers, the money guy, but what I saw, it said that when you give a max deal, it's about 25% of your salary cap. So they do it with Wiggins. They're going to do it with Cat next year. You're going to have 2 of your players taking up 50% of your money.
Yeah.
And we got Jimmy Buckets. How are you going to get enough other role players? I'm not saying I think it's a great move.
Pay the luxury
You've got to keep
tax.
that. Okay.
But if let's say this is, and who knows, they start on Wednesday. Let's say this is the sky's the limit. Let's say this is the 3rd seed in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
Well, who cares what you pay them?
Sure.
I mean, you got all these teams. There's a luxury tax for a reason. Pay the luxury tax. Who cares? It's not my money.
All right, we got just a couple minutes left. USA Soccer. They lose their chance to make it to the World Cup. Their qualifier. Trinidad Tobago ranked 99th in the world, and we lose.
Yeah, they deserve it.
How sad are you?
I'm not at all. Soccer's the dumbest sport on the planet. Another thing.
I just have to tee it up for you.
Here's the reason. Here's the reason why I don't like soccer, and I keep going on it. There is not a more sensitive, sissy group of fans on the planet. They're so sensitive. I mean, they're so sensitive.
Yeah, but they're depressed. It's once every 4 years.
I'm a Vikings
It's
fan.
like the Olympics.
We lost in 2009. You know the guy was depressed?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a dumb sport. It's a boring sport. I'm glad they're not in the World Cup. Find a new hobby. Go to another brewery. Wear a scarf in July. It's just stupid.
All right, we got a minute left. Time for our picks. Now, just to set the stage here, so far this year, you're 0-5.
Yeah,
you are the Cleveland Browns of picks.
I am.
I'm 3-2, so I'm not great.
Yeah.
I'm not great, but I'm okay. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to? You can pick the same.
You go first.
I'm not saying that I'm giving you a chance here.
Okay.
I'm picking the Vikings.
Yeah, I was going to as well.
I think last week you picked the Bears.
Yeah,
I think the Vikings defense, they're at home. I think the defense is going to play, I think like Chris Walsh said, defense is going to play good enough. Special teams will keep it close. I don't think Case Keenum loses us the game. I think we win. I think we pressure Rodgers. I think we win.
I agree with you. I think they win.
You're going to stay the same.
Yeah, positivity. I think they're going to win.
You're staying positive.
And if they lose, I won't lose sleep over it like people, fans of the USA soccer team.
0-6.
Yeah, who cares?
Crying about your soccer.
Yeah,
all right.
I'll be crying about something else.
That's going to do it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you here next week.